Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your attention for some important information. Only 1.5 hours is remaining on a Cat Ear Miko Recruit banner. With that, the maintenance will start, and after the maintenance, collaboration is finally here. And I'm going to talk about the upcoming units, the banners, and should you pull on them, especially with the fact that these are older units. So we are going to talk about the units in a more enclosed way to see if they are still potentially decent these days. Have some of them even some future-proof capabilities. I'm also going to take a look at the upcoming banners to see if something else is coming up that's potentially more important, and then give you my personal recommendation how you can potentially enjoy the collab the most. I'm Katsuma Gaming, let's get right to this. We are going to start off with the characters and collaboration outfits. So we are talking about Aqua and Komekko first. Yes, I'm making here one video for both banners because in theory, thanks to some stuff, you can potentially also get part 2 units on the part 1 banner and stuff early. So I'm just gonna talk about all the units here, but I potentially worst case just make a second video for the second part of the banner so people are up to date. With that, the first unit we want to talk about here is, of course, Raphtalia Aqua. And the big thing you potentially can see here is that this is a unit from a little back in time, I would say, because at one point when they first introduced the consume Gacha to do bonus damage, they literally made a lot of units like that. And after that, we never seen it again. Like, I feel like the collaboration units are like one of the last units that actually had that feature, and after that we just never have seen it again up to this day in the JP version, which is kind of insane. But yeah, she's one of those units, but not in a bad way, to be honest. So first up, 6% physical attack trait, fine I guess. Then she has an HP condition skill that provides CDR if she can consume 70% gauge, aka 207% damage with the condition, 21 second cooldown minus the 6 seconds of CDR. If you can apply it, would mean you have a 15-second cooldown on that skill, and a second skill is a single target physical attack skill, no conditions, just 149% damage flat, and a 20% party gauge charge. On an 18 seconds cooldown, so again with 6 seconds removed, that's pretty much on a 12-second cooldown. And if you think a bit, you realize that kit is pretty familiar, and that is pretty much just Fes Aqua's kit, but without the elemental basic healing, and of course with the restriction that you need to consume your gauge to proc the CDR. And with that, of course, you will not be able to use your ultis most of the time. So this Aqua is actually not there to heal. She's mostly there to A, do self damage, and B, support your team with the gauge and the CDR. I actually think it's pretty doable to play around the gauge recommendation, especially if you have proper subs and earrings, right? You should not have a problem triggering it if you play properly. I don't think full auto would actually do it, but you know, if you manual play, it's doable. Her damage is actually pretty fine. I just don't think she will have much use besides maybe the collaboration arena. I mean, we have Fes Dust now, which is also a strong physical unit. We have, of course, Fes Chris still out there doing strong. We have physical wind rush rate unit with Singer Kazuma. So even just a pure physical team, I feel like these 3 units in itself are already good enough that you don't really need her. But in that case, she can actually fit in pretty decently. Not sure if she will be in the top rankings or if just dust power creeps her, but we'll have wait to see. But she looks good. She is an interesting idea of a character to make an Aqua that actually does more damage and less supportive capabilities by removing her ulti to just do more damage pretty much. And you know, I respect the decision here. Of course, again, I don't think she's that groundbreaking, that game-changing that you're like, okay, I want to have her. But she looks good. I'm pulling for her for the collection. But if you're purely out here for power, I don't think she will be worth summoning for. Then, let's talk about the next unit, which will be all the way over here, Komekko. And Komekko's potentially the most interesting unit of the full collaboration, thanks to a passive trait. That's right, she's a 15% fill rate, gauge fill rate unit. And with that, she is a really solid sub to have. If you haven't seen it already, we like to use a lot of gauge up subs and earrings just to spam our ultis, because most ultis are just that good. And especially if we are getting more collaboration units in the future that have on-elemental ultis, having more gauge up on them is just essential. And we don't have that many right now. If you just think about it, we have Aqua for physical and Leah, we have Vanir and Yun for magical, and we have the Anniversary Darkness for now. There will be another Melissa, if I remember correctly, in the future that will have the gauge up. And then we have the Komekko, and I think that might just be it. Like, there aren't that many, so if you are missing some of the other gauge up units, I think having her is not that bad. But let's take a look at her kit to see if her kit can do anything. You can see 2 blue text there, so there's a lot of gauge consumption here, and that's pretty funny because both of her skills actually do that. The first skill deals 242% damage if you are above 70% HP, and if you have 50% gauge, she will get a self tier 3 light elemental buff. Tier 3, pretty PATK, not gonna lie. 14-second duration, also not too bad, but that's half of your ulti gun. And the second skill consumes 70% gauge to get a self tier 3 agility boost. So to fully use her, you kind of have to use a full gauge up team with her, just to make her be usable in that regard by actually getting both of her buffs off. Of course, with some CDR, you can just try to, you know, do the one thing, the next rotation, do the other skill and stuff like that. But she is really hard to use in that regard. I actually think we never really used her in battle, besides joking around. So yeah, she's mostly there as a sub. And in that regard, she's still good, but I don't think she's that powerful if you're looking for a battle unit. So if you have the funds and you say, yeah, I want to have the full gauge fill rate as a sub unit, go for her. If not, she is also a skip for pure battle. Okay, now let's talk about the 3 collaboration units. And for that, we are starting off with the easy one, Filo, the welfare. She's for free, no complaint there. She's a decent sub, she has decent stats. Her ulti actually provides 25% party gauge charge, which I think PATK actually used to some extent in some arenas, like 2 or 3, where, you know, she comes in, especially with a triple hit, to proc bonus damage on hit. You know, give other people, other members in your team bonus gauge to, you know, get another ulti and stuff like that. So she is gimmicky in that regard, but if there's the right circumstance for her, she can be used in niche cases. But like, realistically, I don't think we ever used her like non-slot 4 or 5 coming in just for the end thing. So she's a fine welfare. You can't complain here, right? Then the Sag one, probably Raphtalia. Raphtalia back then on JP version was actually pretty interesting because she was a physical light unit that provides a tier 2 party agility buff with her ulti. So pretty much just like Halloween Aura, but for mages. And that was her thing. She provides, like, if you take a look at the kit, 6% physical attack trait, fine. 10% party gauge charge with 189 damage, fine. A kind of high cooldown, but it's fine, it's fine. A double hit that gives a self tier 2 evasion buff, so, you know, she takes a little bit more damage. And she has a light elemental basic. On paper, like, not a bad kit, right? Not a bad kit. The one big thing is one unit that actually celebrates her birthday really soon, where you can potentially get her if you don't have her already. But it's Claire. If you just take a look at your Ulti 1 version 1, it also provides a tier 2 party agility buff, plus a tier 2 all elemental damage cut. So instead of having a skill that buffs your own evasion, so you're the only tank and you kind of want the boss to focus you, you just make your whole team tanky. And for that, you just sacrifice pretty much, I think, 40% ulti damage. Skill-wise, let's double check actually, because I'm curious. We have 169 double hit versus 89. Okay, so another 40% damage loss by using Claire. And here the AoE skill is 152 versus 189. So yeah, on paper she still has better damage numbers, but of course you have the ulti damage bonus from Claire. As I said, more resistance is potentially way more important than having a resistance for one unit. Pretty much that's what Evasion does, right? It's not like she does any damage with that. Claire is just the better unit here. If you don't have Claire and you like want to run Raphtalia and you're not coping that you can get her with the birthday pull, you can still go for her, I guess, but just wait for Claire's upcoming birthday. If you then don't get her, she's also part 2 banner unit. You know, you can still pull on part 2 afterwards, but if you have Claire, I don't really think Raphtalia is needed whatsoever. Now the last one, also kind of interesting, is Naofumi. And he has a really interesting thing, and some of you probably remember the Ulti Spam team a while back. He was part of that, and let's take a quick look at his kit to understand how and why. First up, 6% physical attack rate, nothing too crazy. He has of course a fire elemental basic. His first skill deals up to 340 damage if you can consume 50% gauge, aka pretty high number for a skill, and it also provides a tier 2 agility boost. Actually not a bad kit. The second skill provides a party tier 2 wind damage cut and a self gauge charge of 30%. So just by using the second skill with some kind of assist, like gauge up subs and stuff like that, you have enough gauge to trigger the condition of the first skill, and with that, you know, do pretty good damage. But of course, by consuming your gauge, you will have then a problem of not being able to use your ulti, and I think his ulti is actually pretty decent. It applies a tier 3 agility debuff plus a tier 2 rush rate on an ulti for 10 seconds, and it actually deals 326% damage, which is pretty good, not gonna lie. It's a nice damage. And that was actually the idea back then behind the ulti spam comp. Provide him with just so much gauge up by using Erika and Kazuma that he can pretty much always use his ulti. If the speed buff ever runs out, you should have enough gauge to just proc the bonus damage and then get your ulti off the next round anyway. And this worked really well. It was really cool. I'm not sure if we will get a fire arena where we can replicate that. We'll have to wait and see. The only arena I'm pretty confident we are getting it is the wind arena, because it features the collaboration boss. So maybe not the fire arena. I think we actually had it already. So we have to see if we will ever be able to replicate his ulti spam arena in global version. But if it comes out, it will be really fun. But besides that, as much as I want to say something else, I don't think he has the staying power where I'm like, yeah, you need to grab him. He has an interesting kit, interesting idea, but unless you do the Ult Spam comp, you have problems. And we have some other good fire units coming up in the future that just push him out of the window. Speaking of upcoming units, let's take a quick look before I give my verdict on the banners. The timeline. So if you're pretty familiar right now, we have the Miko banner 1, and in the JP timeline, we have Detective Lisa afterwards, and then we have the collaboration. In the GP version, it was actually the ReZero collaboration. In the global version, we are getting collab before Detective Lisa, so the most logical thing will be that Detective Lisa will come afterwards. And rejoice, people, permanent unit, you can grab her from tickets. She's actually pretty good, not gonna lie. We still use her in JP from time to time. She's pretty good. But again, she's a permanent unit, so you can just get her eventually from 4-star tickets, off-rate stuff. So I think it's just better to save there. Then we get another permanent unit with Onsen Iris, which will actually introduce a new kind of gimmick effect, the Echo effect. I will explain it in the banner guide for her, of course. And after that, we have the first big upcoming banner, Detective 3 plus 3.25 anniversary, aka Fes Komekko with Detective Union and Detective Mia. And Detective Komekko is a pretty good unit, not gonna lie, but I don't think she's a must pull. But don't cope too much, because right after that we are getting Forbidden Festival Part 4 with Forbidden Chris, which is of course a big pull. She's really strong, plus Swimsuit Darkness, and people love that artwork, understandably, so you know that's probably interesting banner. And right after that we are getting Swimsuit or B with Swimsuit Leah, which also looks good and is a really good unit, even off element. She gets used a lot in the JP version, plus the new semi-limited unit Cesta, who works pretty much like Funidodo. So pretty much we have, I think, at least 2 banners after the collaboration to recover a bit of quartz. You can potentially pull on this banner, but you can also skip it. But afterwards we have 2 banners where you kind of want to pull on. So in all honesty, I would recommend you do what you think is the best for you. If you are a collector, go for the collaboration. Ignore meta. Collabs will probably never come back, and if you want to have the full collection, I think just going for that is way more important. All the other units, you can pull them in the future again, they're not gone. Like, especially if you just decide to top up a little bit and just wait for the next Forbidden banner, for example, after Chris, to then do the paid pull there and maybe get her off rate there eventually. It's doable. Like in my Forbidden Chris summons, when I did the paid step up banner GP version, I got all previous Forbidden units along the way. So there's a good chance you can just get them eventually in the future. I think Cesta might actually be a bit harder to get than the Forbidden units, since the Forbidden units are guaranteed to come back every 3 months. So yeah, if you are a full collector, go for collaborations. Try to complete your collection in that regard. And ignore the other units. If you don't care about collection, if you don't care about the collaboration, it's a pretty simple skip this banner. You get some free pulls, maybe you are able to get one of the units from that. If you are down to, there's a 3k paid banner to get you 1 collaboration unit guaranteed from the ticket, which is a great deal. If you are down to spend, I think that's the one thing to just get, because getting one of the 4 units pretty much for 3k paid, which is like, I don't know how much it is in euros, 10, 20 bucks, something like that. I think it's fair, it's a pretty good deal, and that is my recommendation. Go for the ticket, do the free pulls if you don't care about the collaboration, and then you can still afterwards pull. If you care about the collab, you can either just pull straight away, because the chance of getting something from the tickets is rather low, or if you want to go with the safe strat, wait for the 140 free pulls, maybe do daily single paid pulls, and afterwards you can then still decide to go in either into banner A or B. If you want to pull on a collab but only can pull on 1 banner, I personally give the advantage to banner A. Yes, I said Komekko is probably the best lasting unit, but I think just the way the units in A play, aka Aqua and Naofumi, is just more interesting. Especially if we ever get to Ulti Spam comp, then those are actually usable units. Komekko will be a good sub. And yes, might be better, but we are getting more gauge stuff in the future. So, you know, it's fair to go with either one, right? I personally go with A, probably because I'm an Aqua sim, not gonna lie. But I think going for either of the banners only is also a fair choice. And if you like Raphtalia more than Aqua with Raphtalia outfit, then banner B it is. It's fair, right? Okay, I think this should hopefully be everything for this banner guide. If I missed anything, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you want to watch me summon on the new banners, I will be live this Friday, 5 PM UTC +2, aka German time. And hopefully try to stack that Raphtalia Aqua. That's my main goal for the collaboration. Everything else would be a nice bonus along the way, or time to actually save some quartz up, because the new unit is also just around the corner, as you just saw, and I want to grab that as well. So if you don't want to miss that, ring that bell. Follow me also on Twitter, twitch.tv/katsmagaming. I'm also always streaming there. And I think Twitch is just a better viewing experience, but of course also live on YouTube, so choose what you like. I hope to see you there. If this video helped you out, like, subscribe, follow for more content. If you want early access on some videos, like for example the Arena Rank 3 video, the collab guide, potentially this video. I'm not sure if it's actually up early or not for members. We'll see. But I try to actually upload videos earlier so that members can access it a little bit earlier. And you know, if you want to see the stuff early, to be prepared earlier and have better ideas and even some exclusive bonus videos for members only, make sure to grab a membership. It starts at 99 cents. And if you down to invest more into me and be like, yo, your guides are amazing, thank you so much, I love the encyclopedia, you also have the chance to go with higher tiers to get article benefits like a custom Discord role, shout out videos, or you know, just donate directly through the links down in the video description. Or if you want to support the encyclopedia, also check out the Ko-fi link down at the bottom of the video here to support the encyclopedia directly. Thank you so much for your support. Good luck with the collaboration banner, and see you all in the next one. Bye!
だから一緒に行きましょう。いつもありがとう。もしやだって言うなら無理やり連れて行く。